Hi again, everybody, and welcome to this Bengals live training camp report. It is brought to you by Medical Mutual, the official health insurer of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm Dan Hoard, along with team reporter Marisa Contipelli, and our special guest today, just off the practice field, is wide receiver Tyler Boyd. Tyler, thanks so much for coming on with us today. I want to start with the news of the day, and that is the announcement earlier today that your quarterback, Joe Burrow, will see some action. Probably not too much, but we'll see some action in the final preseason game on Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. What's it going to mean for his teammates, the rest of the guys on offense, to see Joe go running out onto the field on Sunday?
It's gonna be awesome. I think us with Joe leading us out there, I think it just evolves the whole offense. Just change the whole energy of the guys that's around him, and it's just championship ball at that point when we see him taking take taking the show.
Tyler, it seems like, this was kind of the plan all along from what Zach Taylor was telling us that he wanted to get Joe in to that third and final preseason game. But regardless of whether he would have played Sunday or week one, would you have been just as confident in him taking the field for the first time after his surgery?
Absolutely, because he still gets all the reps. He's still in there with us during practice and running the plays that we are getting ready to run shortly. So at the end of the day, I think we'll be pretty comfortable even if he got in this week or waited for him to play week one.
So at practice today, in 11 on 11 drills, Joe completed his first 8 passes. The first one went to you. The 8th one went to you. The offense seemed to be clicking really well today. How do you feel the offense has progressed since the beginning of training camp?
A lot, just going back to our last preseason game, it wasn't our best performance offensively as a whole, so we regrouped and came back that next Sunday practice, I believe, or Monday, and we all huddled up and said that's not our standard, and if we go out that on any given Sunday, then we're going to lose 9 times out of 10, so we want to come out there and treat every day like it's game day, practice, walk through. We got to stay locked in because we still got to prove ourselves. It don't matter who we got, we still got to go out there and win games. So we got to take each day like a winning mentality.
I know Jamara's experience, kind of the ups and downs that training camp and the preseason can provide. So for you being the veteran of the group, kind of what's that relationship like with you and Jamar, and kind of how are you helping him, keep that confidence and keep his mindset on the right path here?
Right. I mean, that stuff happens. I think he's just going through a little mental problem with just the drops. I don't think that's too big of a deal because he's a great catcher. He can catch the football very well. He doesn't use his body too much. So, I mean, he has for sure hands. We just got to get him to get to the next play. That's what I've been trying to overemphasize to him. Just get to the next play, bro. I'd have had several drops. Every receiver, all the great receivers had drops, but it's all about how do you redeem yourself? How do you create another opportunity for yourself and make that play? So if you could put together more plays and more catches than drops, and I mean, you win it. So, I mean, we just need him to just make more plays.
Tyler, this is year 6 for you, which seems hard to believe for me. I don't know if fans around the country give you enough credit for how great you've been as a member of the Bengals, but do you feel like your peers around the NFL recognize you as one of the best slot receivers in the NFL?
Most definitely, because every game, every time we go and scout teams and when we line up against several teams, I can tell based off how they're playing me if I'm a key guy, So I know the defense and the players that we're going against truly respects me and know that I'm a weapon, and I don't really care about all the outside stuff, who's the best, who's this and that. I'll keep proving myself year in, year out, So my main job is to do what I can do to help this team win, and if we win, then, everybody going to be talking about us then. So at the end of the day, I just play with that chip on my shoulder.
Along those lines, Tyler, just, as you've, been in the NFL now going for 6 years, and how have you seen kind of maybe your approach to training camp in the first half of the season kind of change as you've gotten that experience and have gained wisdom over the years?
Yeah. I evolved so much, on the field, because it's so much little details that you have to, remember and lock in on when that time comes. I think where I elevated my game was, just figuring out all the little things that help me get open and help my peers get open. You know, if it's a man route, then I gotta use my release to try to get a rub, or if it's certain coverage, I gotta hurry up and figure out uh, post snap coverage and figure out what they're in, so I can run my route in a certain way to get open. You know, so those little things, you know, is going to continue to evolve my game.
The starting secondary is completely new this year. Trey Waynes, Chidobe Awuzie, and Mike Hilton were not on the field for the Bengals last year. Trey was obviously here, but he was hurt. Are these guys the best secondary that you've practiced against in your 6 years with Cincinnati?
Um, I would put those guys neck and neck with Pack and Dre. You know, because when I came in, when those guys were in, they were dogs. You know, that whole defense. You know, with Burfict, you know, that was the toughest defense that I went against. You know, but them boys that we got now is about equal. You know, I think them boys is great competitors. You know, you don't really see too much catches on those guys through the whole preseason. You know, so that's one thing that stuck out to me that I love. You know, because that gives me a little bit of comfort area knowing when the ball's in the air that our guys is going to win.
We've got a chance to see some great one-on-one battles, through the course of camp here, Tyler, with you and your other receivers going against the guys in the secondary. Who have you had the most fun going against, or maybe which one of, between Hilton, Awuzie, Waynes, kind of who's maybe one of the tougher ones that you've kind of experienced so far?
Uh, Out of the corners, I'll say Cheeto because I took more snaps with him. You know, and he's real smart. He's real instinctive. You know, he understands leverage. What I mean by that, like he understands if a receiver is inside stemming, and he understands where his blind spots is per se. You know, so if he know I'm trying to get behind his hip to spin him around, he plays it a different way so he can still see me and play the ball at the same time. So that's one thing that I would say is a plus than the DBs we had last year.
Final question for me, Tyler. Did I see you throw a football 72 yards today? Did my eyes really see that?
Absolutely. You know, we had a little competitive early morning practice, well, afternoon, throwing me, T, and mixing. You know, we bet. First throw I threw was a little wobbly, you know, but the second throw went 70 yards. So, I mean, we just out there having fun, you know, and just staying locked in with each other and just connecting with one another, you know. So I think the more and more we stay close with each other and relate, then I think the farther we'll go.
So what I'm hearing is that in an emergency situation, Tyler Boyd could be taking the snaps at quarterback if needed.
Absolutely. Whatever you need me to do, I can hand the ball, I can throw it, I can do anything. So whenever you need me, just put me in there.
Just like your pit days where they had you do a little bit of everything.
I can throw it,
Hey,
run it, read it. Just tell me to play. I'll be ready.
we'll settle for about 85 catches and 1,100 yards. That'll do the trick this year. Would love to see you have another 1,000-yard receiving season. Best of luck. Stay healthy. And again, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all for having me.
All right, that is the great Tyler Boyd joining us on our live training camp report. So, Marisa, there is footage of Joe Burrow. Very exciting news shared by Zach Taylor earlier this afternoon that Joe will see action in Sunday's home preseason game against the Miami Dolphins. What do you expect? How much of Joe Burrow are we going to see?
That's a great question, Dan. I mean, Zach Taylor was saying a limited capacity, so my guess would just be probably a series, if that. Enough plays to get Joe, just a little bit more comfortable with some of the new guys out there on the offensive line, hearing the roar of the fans for the first time as he walks out, onto the field. So just those kind of, little jitters, maybe, if you want to call them jitters, just to get those out of the way before the Vikings game. It's going to be a great sight to see. I know from the couple times we've talked to Joe this camp, he was kind of lobbying for it. He wanted to get out there before week 1. So for Zach Taylor to say, this was kind of the plan all along, they were able to keep it under wraps until today. I think it's going to be a great sight for the fans and for all of us to see on Sunday.
I have jokingly proposed the first shotgun formation in history where the quarterback is 27 yards behind the center just to keep Joe Burrow safe. But all kidding aside, I'm sure the play calls while he is in will be of a very safe variety. We are not going to see Joe Burrow drop back 5 or 7 steps and run the risk of getting hit on that left knee.
I would agree with you on that. I could see it being a couple, whether it's a couple short passes, screens. I'm sure they're going to hand the ball off to Mixon a number of times too, just to get him back in there, back in the pocket, back under center, to get that feel back. Because even though we've seen him all through camp, as you know, it's a lot different when you're in a game atmosphere. So just to get him in there in some capacity, would we all love to see Joe throw, a 50-yard bomb to one of the receivers down the sideline? Absolutely. Probably going to have to wait till the regular season to see that one, though.
Well, as I mentioned to Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow is really sharp today. He completed his first 8 passes in 11 on 11 drills. Number 9 was finally incomplete on a deep ball to T. Higgins, and that's how he finished, 8 for 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have seen a steady progression for Joe throughout training camp, to the point now where, for lack of a better word, he looks normal to me.
He really does. I mean, outside of the knee brace, there's a lot of times where you watch him and you're like, oh, yeah, he is coming off of a major knee surgery, because he looks like the Joe Burrow that we saw early on of his rookie season. And I mean, you're absolutely going to have that, whether you're coming back from, a major injury like he was, or not, just getting back into training camp. There's going to be highs and there's going to be lows. And so the fact that Joe has had, a number of good high practices now on a consistent basis that we've seen over the last week to 2 weeks has certainly been, a great sight to see. And now that we're seeing, some footage of the offensive line, I have to imagine that's going to play, part of it too, with Joe just getting comfortable to some of those new faces that are out there. You have a new right tackle. We're still waiting to see who, the 2 guard spots are going to be. It's great that Trey Hopkins will be playing on Sunday as well. I'm curious to see how long Zach's going to leave him in the game, but just to kind of continue to get that, just that comfort level with Joe and the offensive line, I think is going to be huge, Dan.
And Zach Taylor did say today that the starting guards on Sunday will be Quentin Spain at left guard, Xavier Suafilo at right guard, the 2 veterans getting to start for the second consecutive preseason game. Does it feel to you like they have ascended to being the likely starters in week 1 against Minnesota?
It's what it's starting to feel like, especially that at least I would imagine that this coaching staff wants the first team offensive line in there with Joe to start Sunday's game. So the fact that those 2 guys are getting the nod in this final preseason game makes me think they have the leverage for starting week 1 against the Vikings. Who knows how long that'll last, because you would really like to see, Jackson Carman keep coming on, Deontay Smith, when he's, had a great camp. So you love to see the competition on the offensive line. I've said it before, when you see Frank Paula coaching like this, the man literally gets me hyped and excited that I want to go run through a brick wall for him, because that's just how I love how engaging he is with his players. And, in a past life, maybe I was an offensive lineman. I know I probably have to talk to Lap a little bit more about that. I know I'm missing out on the height and size requirement. But it's fun getting to watch those guys, and the level of competition that at least I've seen out there on the offensive line this camp has certainly been a sight to see, and it's been a great one so far.
My favorite stat so far in the preseason is the fact that the Bengals have given up 1 sack in 2 preseason games, and the only play where they gave up a sack, the offensive line wasn't trying to block because the ball was snapped too early by Trey Hill. But all kidding aside, that's a good sign. The pass protection, at least, has been good in the first 2 preseason games.
It has, and it's been great too to see Jonah Williams kind of step back in there at left tackle. He looks a lot more comfortable than I remember Jonah seeing from last year, and it's just, I love to, whenever we get a chance to talk to any of the linemen, just how much they praise Frank Pollock and his coaching and teaching ability, and just the way he goes about his business and his expectations for his players. It's clearly showing a huge impact right off the bat, and Dan, I can only think that, that the sky's the limit for this group. It's only going to continue to get better the longer and longer, especially some of these younger guys are getting a chance to work with Frank.
During the game last week against Washington, I don't think I said the name Chase Young once the game started, and that's the guy Jonah Williams was blocking. So that was a great sign in that game against the Washington football team. Obviously, now as we get to the final preseason game against the Dolphins this Sunday, there are some guys at the back of the roster who will have a lot at stake as they try to not only make the team, make the 53, but also be part of the 16-man practice squad, which is a well-compensated line of work for some of these young players. And the running backs that we're looking at right now are definitely in that mix. Jaquez Patrick, Travion Williams will be able to come back and play this week. Samaje Perine, you would think, is a lock to be on the team. Chris Evans, I think, is probably a lock to be on the team. But, we'll see on Sunday against Miami how those guys perform.
That's a battle that I'm looking forward to watching too on Sunday, especially it looks right now that Travion Williams signs are showing that he should play on Sunday. We don't know for sure yet, but he was back out there at practice today and taking reps with the running backs and looking pretty smooth. So I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do if he gets out there on Sunday, because Jaquez Patrick has had a pretty good camp so far. He looks just like a bulldozer when he's out there running on the open field. I'm with you. I think Chris Evans is at this point going to make the team. I think he has shown enough to the coaching staff that he's earned a spot. And so that's already, if you count Evans, Mixon, and Perine, that's 3 spots. So who's going to grab that 4th running back position? It also, for me, I know we've talked about this before, it goes back to special teams as well. Who can have a special teams impact to help solidify their position in whatever battle they may be in. I know we've talked so much about the running backs, Dan, but tight end is another one that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. Mitchell Wilcox, didn't play against Washington. He was back out there at practice this week, so hoping that he can go on Sunday to see maybe what else he can do, and kind of as he kind of comes down to the 3 guys with Wilcox, Thaddeus Moss, and Mason Schreck in that tight end room.
Well, Sunday is going to be fun. We've got the ruler of the jungle to look forward to. Superfan James Brown, JB, will be performing those duties. Joe Burrow will start at quarterback. Probably won't play for very long, but it'll be fun to watch him while he's out there. Should be some entertaining football on Sunday at Paul Brown Stadium. For Marisa Contipelli and our special guest, Tyler Boyd, I'm Dan Hoard. Thanks so much for checking out this training camp report presented by Medical Mutual, the official health insurer of the Cincinnati Bengals. So long, everybody.